one's about DC and the GD, how they crashed. All right? This is about DC and GD, how they crashed over in Atwater. All right? All right, so we out in Atwater, man. You know, we out in Atwater. GD and DC got in it, so you understand how this thing play. First of all, when we out west, right, from the East Coast, you know, so youngins, y'all pay attention, so you know it's not worth to get involved. I got a birthday party, Friday, Sunday night. I'm hosting at Club Casamigo. Come get your books or whatever. I'm gonna be there. You know what I mean? And you know, it's damn near sold out, so I'm letting y'all know now. You come, don't call me at the door to come get in, but the joint is, you know, you can still pay at the door. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be crowded outside, so the line's going to be crowded, but everybody will get in. You know, so just letting you know, everybody will get in. Now, that's Friday. I got Roku TV, Unique Mecca Audio, and my podcast is Spotify, Unique Mecca Audio Podcast. Now let me get back to the story.
Mecca what? Mecca Audio.
All right, we're going to ride with the GD car now. You know what I mean? We're going to ride with the GD car. Big shout out to RJ and Paula Club. I didn't forget you on that real 50 Cent story. Don't think I forgot you, big bro. I'm trying to get some pictures together to give you something proper. Now, we out west in Atwater, California. And GDs and DC, they both big, powerful black cars, so you understand. Good men, strong men, official men, you know what I mean? My brothers is in both, you know what I mean? But, you know, they always clash because one of the underlings don't know how to move and wind up putting the bigger lings, you know what I mean, in the middle of something that the smaller lings caused, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's where we at. So we normally tell our homies, don't mess with, we say, no disrespect, don't mess with, not talking about GDs, just talking about everybody else, you know what I mean? Because they play word semantics on here. Say, don't mess with them Bammers. That's what we call it. Like anybody that's not where we from, we just call them a Bammer. It's just a terminology, figure of speech. Say, don't mess with them Bammers. You know what I mean? Meaning, you know, we think they're greener than us or whatever because they're from a different geographical location and they're, you know, there's certain things that the younger ones do that's different, that's not tolerated amongst us. You know what I mean? But the elders that fall under the same code and conduct as us is our homies, even though we say them Bammers. We're not talking about our homies. We're talking about even our homies that act stupid. We call them a Bammer. If a New York or DC, Baltimore, whatever dude be acting stupid, we say, man, you stop being a Bammer. You're a Bammer, nigga. Get out of here. You ain't allowed to be with us. You know, you got to go up top. You a Bammer. You know what I mean? Now, it was these two dudes, one from DC and one from the GD car, and they was good friends like this. Always hung together, you know, gambled together, worked out together, did a lot of things together, cooked and eat dinner at night together, did everything together, right? So one day, the DC dude wasn't feeling it. And, you know, the GD dude was joking. And the DC dude told him, man, come on, man, I ain't that for the move for that today. We all stand in the Sally Port, you know, in front of the unit in between the move. So he said, man, I ain't trying to hear that right now. You know, we going through something. Like, man, not right now. And dude said something slick to him and got in his face aggressive. So one of the other DC dudes saw one of his comrades, you know what I mean? You know, in what he considered and perceived as a threatening situation. So he pulled his knife out and he stabbed the GD dude in the neck, you know? Now, the homie didn't want that to happen to his homie, you know what I mean? But that's just how it rolled when, if you think someone's in danger, you move out and you help them out. So he felt he was in danger, you know, like the stand your ground law they got. He moved out, he stabbed the dude. So, you know, the GDs didn't take too kindly to that. So the GDs, they turned around and, you know, they went and grouped up and they started jumping on the DC dudes that was in certain blocks and, you know what I mean? And, DC fighting back and, but the DC dudes didn't know what went on down the compound at another unit. So the GDs that was in the block, by the time they went back in the block and told everybody what was going on, one of their homies got stabbed by a DC dude. That's all they need to know. So now all DC dudes is food. You know what I mean? So they jumped on the DC dudes that wasn't aware of what was going on, But then now, as the other homies is coming back from the next move, they hear what's going on because they seen the deuces, so they knew what time it is. So certain dudes just set it off right there on the yard. DC dudes started jumping on GD dudes right there in the yard and started stabbing them, because the DC dudes, they banging with them, But they start stabbing the GD dudes. So while they stabbing the GD dudes and it's going on, the deuce is going off. So the other dudes, they leave the unit and they get back to their units because now they going to go look for some GD dudes. Because the GD dudes then got out on the DC dude. They're not going to leave it at that. So now they go back in the units, the ones that wasn't locked down, because the one that had happened and they locked down, because that's how they do it. So when they get in the unit, they just start punishing these GD dudes. You know what I mean? So they in the kitchen fighting, they in different units fighting, they're in the yard fighting. I mean, it's all types of fights going on. But that's why I be trying to tell y'all, don't get involved in this street world because you wind up in prison. This is what it is. You know what I mean? Now, GD didn't care who had something to do with it that was from DC, and DC didn't care who had something to do with it that was a GD. Bottom line is they're getting GDs. They all became food. And it's crazy because you could be cool with a dude, but now it's a war between, your crew and his crew, or your car and his car. And then now he's trying to stab you or you trying to stab him, but y'all cool. You understand? Y'all don't have a problem. But when it explodes, it explodes. And that's why I try and tell you, fall back. You understand what I'm saying? From that bull crap, putting yourself in a situation to wind up in this world that I was in for all these years. Cash App on the screen. Remember, if it don't have the little greenhouse to it next to the right, you know what I mean? Don't send money because they done duplicated. Anyone you see with my face on it, on the Cash App, that's not me. The one with my face in the logo, none of that is me with the face in the logo because they copied the Waynesworth Hall and all that now. So yeah, it's getting intricate, but I'm trying to get it right. But anyway, so they get the, portion, so GD and DC. But before that, everything was good. I'm going to introduce y'all to a character, you know what I mean? To a man. When I say character, I mean a man, a serious man, from out there. Shorty Dope. When Shorty Dope was out there in Atwater, and Shorty Dope had the GD car, meaning he was the voice for the GD car. When Shorty Dope had that joint, it ran official. You know what I mean? Dudes still got into each other, the underlings or whatever, but, the DC car, the Crip car, the Blood car, the, whoever, they could approach Shorty Dope and let him know what the gripe is and that we trying to see such and such because he violated our homie and our homie want to see him. And, Shorty Dope was old school, so he made sure everything, moved proper and he kept the peace while he was there. You know what I mean? He's what you call a man's man. You know what I mean? Big shout out to Shorty Dope. Big shout out to Shorty Dope. So if y'all don't know who Shorty Dope is, I'm going to tell you who Shorty Dope is. Shorty Dope is Lil Durk the rapper's uncle. You know what I mean? Lil Durk the rapper's uncle is Shorty Dope. Official dude. Official. I'm one of the only brothers that go through Washington, D.C., you know what I mean, and hang out with the men of Washington, D.C. And Shorty Dope also has a pass to come through there and hang out with the men of D.C. because the men consider him as a man because we was able to deal with him on some man time when we was in the prison. So Shorty Dope definitely get a gunshot, you know what I mean, for being official, But that's who Shorty Dope is, Lil Durk's uncle. But once Shorty Dope left, man, everything just collapsed because you need a good, strong shot caller. They didn't really have nobody the people that they had that stepped up to be in charge of the GD car, no disrespect, but, they didn't have the respect for DC, and DC didn't have the respect for them. You know what I mean? So now there's a no respect factor against two major cars that is both men, and they often collide on many different compounds. Because I got a whole bunch of these stories to tell you, just so you understand. So once Shorty Dope left and the new, shot callers came in, they didn't have that type of alliance and comradeship, you know, as Shorty Dope had, because Shorty Dope, he a world traveler, so he know how to deal with people, because he didn't just, come out of his neighborhood into the penitentiary. And that be the problem when so many people never left their neighborhood, come in the penitentiary, that they don't know how to really deal with people from other geographical locations, because all they've ever experienced was their geographical location. There's plenty of young men and women that's in the federal system that never been on an airplane until they've got locked up and shackled and put on a prison airplane. Now, that's sad, but now people traveling more, and it is what it is. So, that's what happened with Shorty Dope, man. And once he left, everything went crazy. So they locked up the GDs and the DC car. They put them both in the hole, So then now the other brothers that was someplace that they couldn't get to a GD, by the time they get back to the cell after they open and move up, they get back to the cell, they lock them in. Police try to go to them, and tell them, yo, such and such happened, what's going to happen? We open a compound. So, them as men said, man, you know what it is. You know what I mean? Get away from my door. I ain't got nothing to say to you. You know what I mean? So they already know when they ain't got nothing to say, it's on. Because, they not going to say, oh, nothing is going to happen and put it, nah, you know what I mean? We don't deal with the police. This is something that happened internally, and we going to handle it internally, and y'all ain't a part of our internal squad. You know what I mean? So both GDs and, DC told them get away from their door. So what they did now, when they told them get away from their door, even though they didn't have nothing to do with it, because they was contained in another department where there wasn't other GDs or other DC dudes to get at, they grabbed them and they took all them and locked them up and put them in the chute and sent them out to Lompoc. You know what I mean? So they sent them to Lompoc, and Lompoc opens up a whole nother wing just like what's behind me. You know what I mean? And they put all the DC dudes in one range, and then they took all the GD dudes and they put them in another range. You know what I mean? Because they didn't have enough room in the shoe over at, Atwater. So now while they over there, DC dudes separated, GD dudes separated between Atwater and Lompoc, and then, something else jumped off on the yard at Atwater and they needed more space. So they picked them up and they send them over to Lompoc too, because Lompoc was turned into an FCI, so it only had a limited amount of people. And they had a lot of, empty units like this. So they wound up sending all the other DC dudes that got into fights with the dudes that didn't fight. So now they get to see who all got locked up. You understand? And then there were certain DC dudes that didn't get locked up, and the men was pissed off at them for even staying on the pound after that happened, because they should have made sure when they came out, they crushed whatever GD was there, instead of letting the administration work the system back open with them on the compound. And that's how the rules are played, so you understand. Your comrades go, you go. You know what I mean? Like I got one, right? I had my homie Shot, from Brooklyn, caught his case down in D.C., so he get along with D.C. brothers just like me. You think he was from D.C. I thought he was from D.C. when I met him, because, he knew everybody and everything. You know what I mean? He was in the mix with D.C. Well, Shaw, caught his case in D.C., and he messed with one of the New York homies. They come to me to come get, 100 books of stamps, you know what I mean? And, that's like $500. So they come get like 100 books of stamps to start a skin game. So they go to the yard, start a skin game, and while they playing skin in the yard, dude cheated and took a card out the chute, out the deck. They call it the chute. Took a card out the chute, and the deck was uneven, but dudes kept gambling because they didn't notice the card was taken out. But dude was cheating, expecting to win with the less card there, knowing that it was only 3 threes in the deck instead of 4 threes, but he wound up losing his money. So that day they turned that $500, a little 100 books, you know what I mean, into like 3,000, you know what I mean, into like $3,000 easy, you know what I mean? I mean, they crushed them, made like 600 books that day. So they come tell me how good they did this and that. You know what I mean? At lunchtime, how they was clocking them, you know. So then by the time, you know, I'm at work in Unicore. They had me making clothes. Then I was like a seamstress or something, you know, a seamster, as they call it. But I was making clothes, working on the juki and the zigzag and the singer. I know how to take it apart, you know, string it up and all of that, you know. But that's what I did during the day to stay out the way and to try and get, you know what I mean, out of prison. So the homies is out there doing their thing. And dude that lost the money was from DC, right? He was Shaw's partner. But Shaw's partnered up with one of the New York homies to run this game. But this is his normal partner that they go cheat all the time with. So his partner lost his money. So he drops the card on the ground because he's the one that took it out the deck. So he dropped the card on the ground and he tells dude, yo, you know, what's up? Y'all cheating. This 3 wasn't in the deck. So now everybody at the table that done lost their little 600 books, they done sat there and they said, oh shit, I want my money back. Now everybody yelling they want their money back. You know what I mean? And by right, he got to give it back because he only had 51 cards in the deck instead of 52 because they took out one of the 3s. So everybody wants their money back. So they argued and fight, and you know, Shaw and them, they giving the money back, you know, as men. So they giving all the people the money back. And then it came out that it was Shaw's DC partner that took the card out the deck. The same one that blew up, that it was a card missing out the deck. You know what I mean? So the homie, you know, the other homie name was Shaw too. The other homie, he just went in dude's mouth. Bam! You know what I mean? And snuffed the DC dude who was Shaw's partner. And Shaw grew up in DC with him, did time in Lawton and all that. So, you know, they get to out there fighting and pushing the knife or whatever, the police come break it up. So Shaw gets away and didn't get locked up. You know, the one that came and got the books from me, the one that was from DC, right? So he comes, and 3 o'clock when we coming out, when I come out the unit, because they slowed down the Unicore from the fight, they had to move the people to the shoe. I come out the unit, Shaw waiting for me up there by the smoke shack, and he said, yo, here, take these books right here. Here go your 100 books back, plus we wound up keeping another 100. I'm going to see you when I get out the hole. I said, what happened? He said, nah, dude that be with me, you know, was cheating, you know what I mean? And, you know, he pointed out to everybody there was only 51 cards in the deck, da-da-da. We had to give the money back, da-da-da. Shaw went in the dude's mouth, and, you know, now I'm left out here, but, you know, I can't let my homie go in the shoe for fighting for our game, and I'm not in the shoe. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm getting ready to go grab me a free pick. You know what I mean? You know, somebody that be with dude that, you know, you know, that Shaw got into it with. So when he said that, he said, yo, go on in the unit, because I'm getting ready to set it off before the move is over. You know what I mean? So I take the stamps and I peel in the unit. You know what I mean? So now I'm in the unit, and I hear the deuces go off. What happened is the homie, you know what I mean? I look back, you know, on the way up the stairs, and I see them fighting. As I walk by, my man, a little fat kid, you know, from New York, the one called KDC, he's sitting there with the knife, and he working this North Carolina dude that was down with the scam. It was always the 3 of them. It was my man, you know what I mean, that I gave 100 books to, and it was the DC dude that be cheating, and it was a North Carolina dude that be with him. You understand what I'm saying? So all of them is there together. But now Shaw doing his own thing, and they went and messed up his hustle. So Shaw went and put the knife in the third one, which was also his homie, but his homie was down with the dude that the partner got involved with, but the homie that he stabbed wasn't with the move at the time, but he's also his partner, and somebody had to get it for him to go to the hole to show that he's not letting his comrade go down without defending his comrade's movement, because there's no way, you know, it'll look right, him still on the compound and his comrade in the hole for fighting over a game that the 2 of them had. The 2 of you had the game, the 2 of y'all got to fight. You didn't get caught the first fight, well, now you got to start a second one. So he grabbed his free pick and started stabbing the North Carolina dude. He hitting him up, you know what I mean? And it was nothing nice. So now we go back in the unit, and they all telling me that, man, that was your homie, da-da-da, and they run it down, but I already know what happened. So I'm listening, playing like I don't know what happened, because they don't even know that I gave them the stamps to start the game. That had anything to do with it, because, you know what I mean, you know, we don't move like that. But anyway, so, you know, that's how that went down with that. Same thing, back to the GD car. in DC. So they over there, and they put the two of them there. So when they go out for wreck, the police putting the GDs in one cage and the DC in another cage, but everybody could see each other. Dudes out there working out, and everybody gritting at each other, looking. Nobody ain't got nothing to say to nobody. Bottom line, it's on and popping. You know what I mean? So now they winds up transferring, Big Tone, Larry Moe, Latif, LA, La. They wind up sending them to the Smooth program, and a bunch of GD dudes to the Smooth program, but they put them in different units, just like they do in Lund Park behind me. But Smooth look just like this too. So one range would be DC, one would be that, and you got a whole step down program. I'll tell you about that whole other video. But they wound up sending them over there. And after they was done doing their time, then they sent them all back in the system. I think Tone went to Coleman, Larry Moe went to McCurry, La went to Big Sandy. I mean, they moved everybody around, and they winds up meeting back up again. But as they got to these new joints, and then the GD dudes started touching the compounds, different compounds, word done got out of the main names that was involved, that was at Atwater. And when they got on the compound, as soon as they got there, the DC dudes rushed them off the compound, because they tried to get out on their homies back over here. You understand what I'm saying? In Atwater. So that's how that go. You get into something over here, you go to another jail, you think you're safe, you can start over new, but a kite come that follow you about what went on in the other jail, take it next jail, so the youngins don't get involved in it. Go to my Roku channel, go to Unique Mecca Audio Podcast at Spotify. I got new Rowan Harlem books, and you can call the number on the screen if you want to talk directly to me at work. Let's get this thing popping, and we in the house, man. All right, so let's tap out. Let's go.
Cheers to the crime.
Can of 26, he back on the strip, get it back in the mix. What he misses is gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in all. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you go and get it. The Instagram page and then YouTube, you go and visit. Then you consider yourself linked in. Sit front row and get used from a kingpin. I went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. Did not pay attention with what's stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grands got along. A man that generated minutes on the block. Did it time, never squill it to the cops, make an audio. Like 2 G's in the night. Drop top beating so shiny. I let shorty go, she was wine. Treat her like my past, she behind. Spin a couple bands on the dapper pan. You eat that again, getting green like Pats fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They horn uptown, the mimic and bust down. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to get. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, live it dead. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now we're waiting about selling drugs, buying cars, buying property to make the community yard. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth.